Welcome to your personalized deep dive. Ready for a journey through time? You wanted to explore the book of Proverbs and, well, it's like opening a treasure chest, full of advice on everything from money matters to relationships, even though it was written ages ago. There's this timeless wisdom that might surprise you. What we're going to do today is see if we can unearth some nuggets of wisdom that still hold true in our modern world.
It's fascinating how these ancient texts can still speak to us today, isn't it?
It really is. It's like they tapped into something fundamental about human nature that hasn't changed all that much. Let's start with a topic that's always relevant, debt. Proverbs has some strong words about guaranteeing loans for others, saying you can be snared by your own words. It even urges you to hasten and plead with the person if you find yourself in that predicament. It's pretty intense, right? I'm curious what jumps out at you from that.
You know, that imagery of being snared, it really gets to me. It's like Proverbs is saying that debt isn't just about money. It's about the promises we make and the potential for those promises to trap us. It speaks to a deep-seated human desire for instant gratification, even if it means long-term consequences.
It's almost like we haven't evolved that much from our ancient ancestors, right? The temptation to take shortcuts or seek quick fixes is still there. But Proverbs seems to be cautioning us about the hidden costs of those choices. Speaking of timeless struggles, Proverbs also contrasts the lazy person with the industrious ant. We all know ants are hard workers, but the text points out they have no chief, officer, or ruler, yet they still manage to gather food and prepare for the future.
The ant's success is a perfect example of collective effort and self-organization. They teach us that consistent effort, even in small increments, can lead to remarkable results. It's a reminder that you don't always need a grand plan or a boss breathing down your neck to achieve something great. Sometimes just showing up and doing the work, day after day, is enough.
It's funny how these tiny creatures can offer such big life lessons, isn't it? And Proverbs takes it a step further, warning that the sluggard, the one who's always putting things off, ends up with poverty and want, creeping in like a robber. I don't know about you, but that image makes me want to get off the couch and tackle my to-do list. But let's shift gears for a moment. Proverbs also paints a pretty vivid picture of a worthless person, someone who uses crooked speech, deceitful body language, and constantly sows discord. It's almost like a warning sign, highlighting those red flags we should be wary of.
What's fascinating to me is how Proverbs links outward actions to inner motivations. The worthless person isn't just behaving badly, their actions are rooted in a deeper place of deceit and malice. And I think that's something we can all relate to on some level. We've all encountered people who seem to thrive on creating chaos.
Or manipulating others. And the consequences for this kind of behavior, according to Proverbs, are pretty dire. It says that calamity will come upon him suddenly, and he'll be broken beyond healing. I mean, that's pretty intense language, right?
Okay,
Very slight to think twice about the choices we make and the impact they can have. It does. It's a stark reminder that our actions have consequences and that those consequences can be far-reaching, affecting not just ourselves, but the people around us. And Proverbs then takes this idea of negative actions to another level by listing 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination. Yeah. There's that list of haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. Heavy stuff. But then it adds a 7th. That almost seems like a category of its own. Sowing discord among brothers. It's like it's highlighting the importance of unity and the destructive nature of creating division, especially within families.
It's a powerful message, and I think it's particularly relevant in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with information and opinions. We're more connected than ever, yet it feels like there's also more division and polarization. Proverbs seems to be cautioning us against contributing to that negativity, encouraging us to be peacemakers rather than troublemakers.
It makes you wonder if social media
Rated benefits
might be inadvertently amplifying our tendency to sow discord. It's almost too easy to spread rumors, gossip, or just plain mean-spirited comments.
It's certainly something to think about. Proverbs challenges us to use our words wisely, to build bridges instead of walls.
And speaking of bridges, Proverbs also talks about the importance of respecting and listening to our parents, especially our father and mother. He uses powerful imagery, telling us to bind their teachings on our hearts and tie them around our necks as if they were precious jewels. It's clear that parental wisdom was highly valued in ancient times. But how do we navigate that in a world where generational gaps seem to be widening and values sometimes clash? It can be a tricky balance, right?
It is. It's about honoring the wisdom of previous generations while also forging our own path in the world. The key, I think, lies in open communication and empathy, even if you disagree with your parents on certain issues. Remembering the love and wisdom behind their teachings can help navigate those differences with grace.
It's such a thoughtful perspective.
Yeah.
Not about blind obedience. It's about understanding the context of their advice and trying to see things from their point of view.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even if their advice doesn't perfectly fit our modern lives, there's usually a kernel of truth or valuable experience behind it.
Okay, so we've talked about debt, hard work, avoiding deception, and honoring our parents. Proverbs doesn't shy away from tough topics, does it? And it definitely doesn't hold back when it comes to the topic of infidelity. It uses some pretty strong language, talking about the evil woman and a smooth tongue that leads to destruction. It even compares the consequences of adultery to a fire that burns with scorching coals.
Those vivid metaphors really underscore the destructive nature of infidelity. It's not just a physical act, it's a betrayal of trust that can have devastating emotional consequences for everyone involved. And the interesting thing is, Proverbs draws a distinction between the consequences for a thief and an adulterer.
Right. It almost seems to suggest that while stealing might be understandable in certain circumstances, like if someone's starving, adultery is a much graver offense. It's described as something that destroys yourself and brings lasting shame. I'm curious, why do you think there's such a discrepancy? What was it about adultery that made it such a serious transgression?
It really comes down to the social structure of the time. Marriage wasn't just a romantic union, it was an economic and social contract that held families and communities together. Breaking that contract through adultery had far-reaching consequences, disrupting the stability of the entire community.
That's fascinating. It makes you realize that our understanding of morality is often shaped by the social context in which we live. But even though our society has evolved, in many ways, the core principle still holds true. Trust and fidelity are essential foundations for any strong relationship.
Absolutely. Whether it's a marriage, a friendship, or even a business partnership, trust is the bedrock of any lasting bond. And speaking of friendship, that's another topic. Proverbs has a lot to say about it. It describes a true friend as someone who sticks closer than a brother, someone who's there for you through thick and thin. It's a powerful image, isn't it?
It is. It makes you think about the people in your life you can truly rely on, those who are with you, no matter what. But Proverbs also warns against the friend who pretends to be a friend, the one who flatters with his lips, but his heart is not with you. It's like a cautionary tale, reminding us to be discerning about who we let into our inner circle.
Right. It's about recognizing that true friendship is built on honesty, mutual respect, and genuine care for the other person's well-being. It's not about superficial connections or using people for your own gain.
So how do we cultivate those genuine friendships? Does Proverbs offer any guidance?
That emphasizes the importance of being a trustworthy and reliable friend yourself. It encourages us to be slow to anger and quick to listen, qualities that foster healthy and lasting relationships.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't expect to have amazing friends if you're not willing to be one yourself. It's like that saying, you get what you give. And speaking of giving, Proverbs has a lot to say about the importance of family. Describes a good wife as a crown to her husband, a source of strength and support, but it also paints a pretty stark contrast with the foolish wife, who's depicted as a constant dripping, a source of annoyance and strife.
It's interesting how those metaphors reflect the cultural values of the time. A good wife was seen as someone who brought honor and stability to her husband, while a foolish wife was someone who disrupted the peace and harmony of the household. But even though societal norms have changed, I think the underlying message is still relevant. Finding a life partner who shares your values and supports your goals is essential for a happy and fulfilling relationship.
Absolutely. It's about finding someone who compliments you, who challenges you to be your best self, and who you can truly rely on. And Proverbs doesn't just focus on romantic relationships. It also has a lot to say about raising children, emphasizing the importance of discipline and instruction.
That's right. It encourages parents to train up a child in the way he should go, using both instruction and correction to guide them towards righteousness.
But it also cautions against being too harsh or provoking your children to anger. It's about finding that balance between loving guidance and appropriate discipline.
Exactly. It's a delicate dance that requires wisdom, patience, and a deep understanding of your child's individual need and temperament.
It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. Every child is unique, and what works for one might not work for another. But, even though Proverbs was written thousands of years ago, it still offers some pretty solid parenting advice, even in our modern world. But let's shift gears again. Proverbs also delves into the realm of work and finances. There's a lot of emphasis on the value of hard work, diligence, and integrity in all our dealings.
Absolutely. It warns against laziness and procrastination, reminding us that a little sleep, a little slumber can lead to poverty, and it also emphasizes the importance of honesty and fairness in all our endeavors, stating that dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord.
So basically, no cutting corners or trying to get ahead through shady tactics, right?
Precisely. Proverbs promotes a strong work ethic and ethical conduct as the foundation for lasting success and prosperity.
It's like building a house on solid ground. If the foundation is weak, the whole structure is at risk. But Proverbs isn't just about individual success. It also encourages generosity and compassion toward those less fortunate. It reminds us that he who is generous will be blessed, and that it is better to give than to receive.
Those teachings highlight the social responsibility that comes with wealth and prosperity. It's about using our resources to help others and contribute to the well-being of our community.
It's accumulating wealth. It's about using that wealth for good, for making a positive impact on the world around us. Now, as we get closer to the end of our deep dive into Proverbs, I want to touch on one more topic that really resonates with me: the power of speech. Proverbs has a lot to say about the impact our words can have, both for good and for bad.
It's true. It describes the tongue as having the power to bring death or life, and emphasizes the importance of choosing our words carefully.
It warns against gossip, slander, and harsh speech, reminding us that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Those words are so timely, especially in our age of social media and instant communication. It's incredibly easy to fire off a quick text or post a snarky comment without considering the consequences. But Proverbs reminds us that even our digital words carry weight and can have a real impact on others.
Almost like a digital footprint, isn't it? What we say online can stay with us for a long time, shaping our reputation and relationships. But Proverbs doesn't just focus on the negative. It also highlights the beauty and power of kind and encouraging words. It says that gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body.
That's such a beautiful analogy. It reminds us that our words can be a source of healing and encouragement, both for ourselves and for others.
It's not just about avoiding negativity. It's about actively choosing words that uplift, inspire, and spread joy. And I think that's a beautiful message to end on, don't you?
It is a beautiful message, and it reminds us that we have the power to choose the kind of impact we want to have on the world, one word at a time.
You know, it's amazing how we've journeyed through so many aspects of life, guided by this ancient book. We've talked about debt, friendship, marriage, family, work, generosity, and even the power of speech. And through it all, Proverbs has offered this incredible depth of wisdom. It still resonates with us today. As we wrap up our deep dive, what key takeaways stand out to you? What wisdom can we carry from these ancient teachings and apply to our own lives?
For me, the most powerful takeaway is the emphasis on personal responsibility and the ripple effect of our choices. Proverbs reminds us that every decision we make, every word we speak, has consequences that extend far beyond ourselves, whether we're dealing with finances, relationships, or simply navigating our daily lives. We're constantly shaping our own destinies and influencing the world around us.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That each of us has the power to create positive change or to contribute to negativity. But Proverbs doesn't leave us to figure it out on our own. Throughout the book, there's this constant call to seek wisdom, to pursue understanding, and to apply that knowledge to our lives. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it speaks to the importance of lifelong learning and the idea that wisdom isn't something we just acquire overnight. It's a process of observation, reflection, and making conscious choices to align our actions with our values.
It's not just about knowing the right thing to do. It's about actively choosing to do it, even when it's hard. And that can be a lifelong challenge, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes, and we all face temptations. But Proverbs seems to suggest that it's in those moments of struggle that true wisdom is forged.
I agree. It's in those moments when we're faced with difficult choices, when we have to wrestle with our own desires and motivations, that we have the opportunity to truly grow.
So, it's not about being perfect. It's about striving to become better versions of ourselves day by day. And Proverbs gives us a roadmap for that journey, a set of principles and values that can guide us toward a more fulfilling and meaningful life. As we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought. Proverbs presents a clear moral code, a set of values and principles that guided ancient Israelite society. But we live in a different world now, a world with different norms and values. So, how do your personal values align or diverge from this ancient wisdom? What challenges do you face in navigating these timeless principles in our modern world?
That's a powerful question, and it's one that each of us must answer for ourselves. There's no easy answer. But I believe the key lies in engaging with these ancient texts thoughtfully, critically, and with an open mind. We can learn from the wisdom of the past, while also recognizing the complexities and nuances of our own time.
I love that. It's about finding that balance between tradition and progress, between timeless truths and the evolving nature of human society. And who knows, maybe in the process of grappling with these questions, we'll all gain a little more wisdom ourselves. So if you're feeling inspired, I encourage you to seek out the full text of Proverbs and continue exploring its wisdom. You might be surprised by what you discover. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.